This is Marketing Uncomplicated. Hi, everybody, and welcome back. Today, I have Chris Shihadeh with me, a seasoned entrepreneur and digital marketing expert based in Scottsdale, Arizona. As the CEO and founder of Skylab Digital, he's made a name for himself in lead generation, particularly in the Medicare and insurance industry. Super interesting, with a lot going on with Medicare and insurance, always a topic. Chris' entrepreneurial journey started early at just 6 years old. He ran a neighborhood car wash, learning the power of leverage by recruiting friends to help. Love this. His power wasn't linear. With ventures in data broking, tax resolution, and digital marketing before excelling in the pay-per-call industry, today Skylab Digital generates over 20 million annually with a lean team of just 10. Beyond business, Chris is a devoted husband and a father to two twin boys whose challenging birth reshaped his approach to leadership and company culture. With a deep belief in accountability, ownership, and innovation, I love those three things, Chris brings the same curiosity and explorer's mind to business that once fueled his childhood fascination with wildlife and jungles. Hi, Chris. Welcome.
Hello, Sasha. Thank you for that incredible intro. Wow, I sound way better than I think I am. Thanks so much.
Oh, that's awesome. So, I'm fascinated to talk about the wildlife and jungle, but before we do that, let's dive in a little bit as to your journey from six and give me a picture from that all the way into Sky Digital Lab and, kind of concise it for us, but don't miss the good stuff because something happens when we're kids and we have that entrepreneurial spirit, whether it's that lemonade stand. I, similar to you, was braiding the friendship bracelets in high school. I felt like if the web was up and running at that point, I definitely would have sold across nationwide. So tell us a little bit about what sparked you at 6 years old to start doing car washes.
Funny story. I never, my parents made me every single thing I had to earn. And so if I wanted to go buy some gum, I had to go wash the car and get $5 to go buy a magazine or candy or what have you. And then I realized that it takes me however long, an hour to wash this car. So, but if I could wash 5 cars and get 5 people to do this, and pay them $250, then I could make $250 on each of those plus my car, and all of a sudden I've got $20. And I started realizing how to, that was the power of leverage at a young age. And certainly wasn't anything meaningful, but I think things started clicking in my head that it did become something that I was able to take on into my later years. And the entrepreneurial journey started with more of just wanting to leverage, leverage data lists and sell those to businesses, being able to, to kind of to leverage other people's time and monetize that a little bit better.
Yeah, thank you for that. Did you grow up? Was your dad an entrepreneur? Was your mom an entrepreneur? It was just something that you had innate inside you because your parents were like, okay, here are your chores. We'll pay you for them. But yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, my dad was an entrepreneur. He had some challenges in his entrepreneurship career, but my mom was just a hard-nosed worker and kind of instilled. I kind of had the best of both worlds, where she instilled certain disciplines that entrepreneurship doesn't necessarily have, and entrepreneurship has the vision that maybe some of the more disciplined blue collar mindset doesn't necessarily have either. So I think I was able to get a unique mix of those two and kind of help facilitate my career as I got older.
Yeah, I love that you bring that up because, myself having worked in enterprise and then jumping into the tech startup world, it was extremely chaotic with a lack of processes and, to your point, implementations as to how people just run through the day. And in entrepreneurship, you wake up and it's like, it's a new day every day. What's going to happen? I don't know. Let's be surprised. um,
So true.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you got to starting Skylab. What was that sort of aha moment in your mind where this was a gap that was missing in the market?
Yeah, it was not without its challenges. So I had a previous business. I'd co-founded a tax resolution firm. I split from there and I tried to start just a traditional digital marketing company, and it fell on my face pretty hard. Spent all my money that I had saved and earned from zip tax on trying to get this off the ground, the point where I had to go get a job. I had gotten a job my first week. I got a phone call from an old buddy that was looking for inbound calls in student loan vertical at the time for his sales floor. And without really generating anything, I'm like, yeah, sure, I can do this. Typical entrepreneur without without
Yeah.
any knowledge of exactly what to do. And I ended up figuring it out rather quickly. I quit this job after, I think, 4 days, and started my career in inbound pay per call, and built a little team around me, and kind of started the trajectory that led to Skylab Digital. At the time, we were called Lender Daily. We did a lot of mortgage leads at the time. And that was really fruitful. We had a lot of big clients in Loan Depot and Quicken that really helped grow that part of the business. When mortgage rates declined, they went down to 2%. Nobody needed lead generation for mortgage anymore, so we had to pivot. We ended up pivoting into Medicare and the insurance verticals, and rebranded to Skylab Digital. Hence, Skylab Digital has been around for about 5.5 years now, mostly in Medicare lead generation. I also do auto insurance, life insurance, etc.
hmm Tell me the difference between, for those folks that are listening on the call, some of us know what the pay per click is, some of us, know what pay per call is, but describe to us a little bit about that differentiation and really exactly what the pay per call is from a channel.
Yeah, it's funny. Being in this space, I think everybody knows pay per call, and then when I talk to people that aren't in our space, they're like, "Oh, what the heck is pay per call?" So I'm
Yeah.
glad you asked that. Essentially, what we do is we're generating inbound calls from YouTube and Facebook. A cost per click is the first element of it. So you generate a click that typically goes to a landing page, a set of questions, and then a phone number pops up that they tap to generate a call. Well, that call is then that next action that we get paid per. That's our conversion action that people will pay us on. A lot of times it'll be a duration based. So the call has to last a certain amount of time in order for it to be billed. But on an advertiser perspective, from like our buyers, it really eliminates some of the risk of their advertising dollars. So, because if we are spending way too high of a cost per click or way too high of a CPM on a specific ad, we lose money, not them. They have a little bit more of a fixed cost on their side. Still have to worry about CPAs and kind of down funnel metrics, but
Yeah.
um, it kind of deleverages some of their risk.
Do you feel that that extra call to action of somebody being able to take the action to make the phone call versus just filling out a form really helps with the conversion rate and the lead generation versus just somebody saying, "Okay, I'll fill out a form," and then somebody contacting them?
Well, I mean, 100%. You have a 100% contact rate versus whatever your contact rate on an outbound. So,
hmm
I mean, in my opinion, you can't really compare the two in terms of, you can compare them in a CPA standpoint or a lifetime value standpoint. But in terms of what like a sales team is going to like more, nobody wants to smile and dial, right? Everybody
Yeah.
wants to pick up the phone and have somebody that is interested on the other line. So,
Yep.
yeah, to have 100% contact rate, you can't beat that. That's the best you can get. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. No, I feel you. I love that. Because I've been on the side of the smile and dial, and it's not fun. So when people call me now, and they're like, I was like, I'm not gonna hang up on you. I'm just gonna tell you I'm not interested, and then we're gonna say goodbye. It's a
It's
tough job.
It is a very tough job. I mean, you deal with a lot of angry people, and I mean, at best, you're going to have a 50% contact rate if it's a real, very solid lead, from an outbound. But a lot of people are like, they're calling on data that's 3 months old or something. I mean, that's a whole different ball game, right? You're getting
Yeah,
all
yeah,
kinds of
crazies.
sourness.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about maximizing ROI from the standpoint of, obviously there are a variety of different strategies that you put in place. And this isn't kind of like a one and done template, let's just print and, for every company that we bring in, it's the same. Granted, it is similar in some aspect, but there is a differentiation from a strategy. So talk to us a little bit about how you guys put that together.
There's a lot of different elements that go into maximizing ROI, and I would say the most impactful is having a real-time dashboard that can compile all of your data in as close to real time as possible. So that way you can see and analyze your metrics very quickly, or within either same day or within a specific period of time that works best for your business. For us, it's real time. And to be able to pull in data from 4 different systems and make real time decisions of, hey, this campaign is working really well, let's double down, or this campaign is performing poorly, let's cut that. And so when you're able to make decisions quickly, you are able to maximize your ROI a lot faster. And a lot of other factors come into play with your buyer mix and making sure that you have good back end monetization on the other side. But at the end of the day, if you can't, the faster you can analyze your data, the quicker you can make good decisions with your media buying efforts.
Yeah. What sort of key performance indicators are you guys looking at across the funnel when, is it, the pay, is it the click, is it the call, is it, the duration? Because it's interesting to know how long those calls actually are. I mean, is there a percentage where, there's a drop off at X, what is the longest type of call? I mean, what are the type of, data points that you guys look at to generate and measure what that success is and where you pivot along the way?
Great question. There are lots of them, and we look at all of them to determine what part of the funnel is broken or working best.
Yes. Yes.
So, initially we'll look at CPMs. Is CPM really high? That's Facebook and Google's issue, or like we have to kind of pivot ad accounts or something like that. Not really a whole lot we can maneuver in real time when CPM is high. Cost per click means that our ad is either not performing in some regard, right? Like if we have a really low cost per click, it's doing well. If it's really high, usually people aren't resonating with it very well. Our landing page conversion rate is another important metric. So, we'll look and see in real time how our landing page is converting, and to be surprised how each hour is different. So we also break down our dashboard by hourly reports so we can see, oh shoot, our CPM doubled this hour, or our cost per click doubled this hour. Maybe we pull back budget a little bit during these hours because for whatever reason, it's not resonating that well. And then finally, we'll look at call conversion rate. So like how many calls are coming in and what they're billing out at. So we target roughly a 60% billable rate on our side. So for every 10 calls comes in, we get 6 of them that we get paid on that go past an X duration that varies depending on each buyer. And then we look and see how quality our phone calls are. So we have a minimum metric of what we want for our talk times, which is an early indicator of closes for our buyers. We'll get those reports daily or weekly, depending on each buyer. But the initial indicator we'll see is we call our average call length, which gives us the it lets us quickly see if our campaigns are performing well or underperforming that day.
Yeah. Have there been sort of like what are the top three similarities in terms of, some of these campaigns that you run on a constant?
Um, let's see. What are some similarities? I mean, they're all rather, I'd say they're all pretty similar. I mean, we are obviously targeting a certain, we try to target our KPI metrics across all campaigns. Given Medicare is the lion's share of our ad budget,
Yeah.
we're pretty much trying to get like, here's our minimum targets, and if they don't meet it, then we're cutting, and if they do, then we're scaling. And it's really continuous iteration, continuous testing to try to hit these minimums and hopefully far beat the minimums. But I mean, it's churning out creatives, churning out iterations, landing page variations, small little variations to try to get
Yep.
nominal wins.
Yeah, that test and learn is super important across the board. It's what a lot of small businesses or, companies think, why so many creatives, why am I not seeing the conversion so quickly and so on, but it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, right? So 20 million annually. Talk to me a little bit about how you do that with a lean and mean team of just 10. I love this.
Yeah, it's funny. I heard a quote: "Nobody ever won a gold medal for the highest payroll,"
Yeah.
and I personally believe that if you hire good leaders, you hire strong A players, you will be able to compensate them well, and you'll be able to do a lot more than with a whole bunch of C players.
Yeah.
And when it wasn't always this way, but I did not know how to hire at all, even as recently as like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It took a lot of painful experiences to learn how to get better, to force me to get better at hiring and ultimately firing people that weren't good fits within
Yeah.
our organization. It's not an easy task. It's probably the worst thing in the world to fire somebody, in my opinion. But for me, I have to remember how important it is for the health of the company. And you kind of like take the emotions of myself out and just say, this
Yeah.
is for the company and everybody else that's in the company. But it's hiring an excellent team and making sure everybody is accountable and everybody is over exceeds at their role, and that's how you get the level of employee revenue per employee that we've been fortunate enough to do.
Yeah, I really like that because I think it's almost a playbook, a page that you can take out of this playbook that enterprise companies could be learning instead of having and hiring a multitude of multiple people to do so many different things within the spectrum of a job. And then all of a sudden you have to lay off, 150, 200 people when people actually could be doing a lot more than they are from a day to day. So, congratulations on that. Talk to me a little bit about the small business guide, your multi-channel marketing perspective. So I really want to dig into that a little more.
Yeah. So elaborate a little bit about what about the guide.
More into, diving into the data of measuring what actually works.
Hmm. So when we're measuring campaigns, measuring KPIs, or measuring really anything in our business, I mean, it comes down to analyzing reports, diving through Excel sheets. And we have half of our team that will put together pretty complex reports to see how any specific campaign or any specific buyer, any lever across each of the, I don't know what to describe, like each of the metrics or milestones that are being hit, and try to find ways to improve. And so, we'll say, hey, we find that this type of ad or this angle or this piece of ad copy is yielding significantly lesser results than the average. So
Mhm.
how do we, so let's cut that. Well, those aren't easy things to identify, and being able to have processes in place to identify winners and losers, it's not an easy task, but it's something that we've been fortunate enough to do. I think every business needs to have a process to find out where the
Gaps.
where the gaps are. Yeah.
Yeah. When you guys are signing on a client and because you guys your focus is a very specific lens, and like that's another question that I want to ask in terms of when you first started your traditional agency and being able to support a client potentially across a variety of different channels to then narrow down to sort of one mainstream channel. Um, when a client does come to you, and to your point, as we just talked about, that there could be iterations, maybe the website or the landing page is not in a good shape or so on and so forth. Do you guys just focus on building the pay-per-click sort of campaign, or do you ensure to look at where they're sending traffic, what the creative looks like, to make sure that everything is in sync with each other to be able to maximize your reach and know that everything is working with each other?
Yeah. So currently we are, I mean, you focus on everything, right? So the
Yeah.
whole ecosystem has to work. And I would even add that even the buyer funnel has to work really
Yes.
well. And,
Yes.
so you described kind of the front end funnel of our end, but like we have to unfortunately cut buyers that don't make the cut, right? They
Yeah.
don't have a good enough scripting, a good enough training process to be able to work the media and make it profitable for us. So, I mean, ideally, it's all sides. It's the ad side, which our media team handles most of that part. Biz dev handles the sales side, and then our dev team kind of operates the like our pages and coordinates how they all intertwine together. So
Yeah.
they all have to work together, and if there's any inconsistencies on either of those, it shows pretty quickly.
Yeah. So who picks up the phone calls? Is that something that you guys manage, or is that something you train the clients to do?
No, those are we deal with mostly enterprise clients, and they have their own training programs. They know how to work the calls. So, we have a routing platform that will route directly into whichever buyers are accept calls in that state or that geo or what have you. And they're trained to work the calls that way.
So once the call goes through to them, you guys don't manage anything post that.
Correct.
Do you guys get any sort of feedback loop from them from the standpoint of the health of the lead, or at that point, because we talked about one of the KPIs being you guys don't get paid if the call ends at a certain time, but then when the call further on continues on, you guys do get paid for that, but then maybe that actual call doesn't actually convert. So is there that feedback loop, because there's a differentiation in terms of like the quality and the health of that lead? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's super important. And I think, anybody in the marketing space, if we're not getting disposition reports on our advertisements, it's really hard to optimize. And I
Yeah.
mean, I argue it's impossible to do so. One of my least favorite is when people just send us a list of sales, and it's like, that's
Yeah.
good, but like I need all of the leads. Like I need to get all the ones that didn't close and see which milestones they got to. So your list of 50 sales doesn't really do me a whole lot of good because we sent you 4,000 calls.
Yeah.
So, so that way we have to really, we try to get full disposition reports. Then we can analyze things like state and age and advertisement. And, we can make optimizations for each buyer specific to their best converters. But yeah, most of our big buyers all give us pretty significant disposition reports, mostly on a daily basis.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic, because that feedback loop is so crucial to come back to you guys just to update. So give us a case study that was just amazing in the sense of whatever worked in that structure and that campaign, you guys were able to translate into other campaigns just because it was so not necessarily smooth, but the whole process was really a great setup and the conversions just worked. Do you guys really take, different kind of case studies to then manipulate it into different clients?
Not so. So we don't really build different campaigns for each client. It's more vertical specific. So like Medicare in general, if you're in Medicare, you're
Yeah.
in this campaign. You're in all of these campaigns. It is a
It's more
very regulated.
templatized.
Exactly. It's more
Okay.
templatized. There's certain ads that certain buyers don't want to be on for compliance reasons. So you kind of omit them out of certain types of ads. But for the
Yeah.
most part, everybody is in, a few different buckets of advertisements for Medicare. We don't build like company specific campaigns.
Customized.
It is a lot more challenging to do it the customized way, because with our way, if you don't take this call or it doesn't meet your needs, we can still monetize this instead of it just being a sunk cost either for us or for the client. Right. And that's definitely a challenge in more traditional marketing agencies. And that's, a challenge that I had when I was first starting out, is that there's just a lot of waste and like, oh, this call didn't work or this lead didn't work for said company, but maybe that would have worked for their competitor, which does the exact same thing, but they were a little bit closer to this person's home or whatever it may be. Right.
Yeah.
And, but you don't
All the
have the ability
variables
to
that are
share it.
different. Yeah.
Exactly. Where now in our space, we can route a phone call accordingly to wherever buyers, wherever our customers want. But to answer your question, I mean, there's definitely been some cross-channel wins where like we find this to do really well in Medicare. We test something similar in life insurance and we see some good successes there. So
Yeah.
like, we definitely take concepts and templates that are currently working in one category and try it somewhere else. It's the lowest hanging fruit. Like, why
Yeah.
would you try to go start from scratch and see if that works? Because it may or may not. At least now you have some basic template you can start off of.
Yeah. So maybe you already answered this question for me, but when you started Skylab Digital, did you just, go out with a set of templates to test and then you reiterated based on successes with each client? How did you guys actually start these templates to go to market with?
So probably shouldn't say this, but a lot of them in our space, especially, it's
Whatever you
called
can tell us.
yeah. A lot of it's the rip and run strategy. So you
Yeah.
find what other people are doing well, you test it, and you're like,
Yep.
all right, that worked pretty well. Let me make it my own. And so you have, it gives you a concept to start. And so,
Yes.
you never get the best CPMs and the best cost per click because Facebook or YouTube or, whatever site has seen that before, so they don't give you preferential treatment as if it's a brand new campaign, but it gives you a good starting point and you can be like, all right, this one has legs or this one doesn't. So that was definitely how we started to kind of figure out what works. Now, our design team, we use a lot of AI. A lot of our stuff, you wouldn't know it's AI. Some of it you would know it's AI, but a lot of it you'd have no clue. And I
Yeah.
mean, it's pretty cool to see what AI has done these days and how you can, make still images into talking people and stuff as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So
Tell us a little bit about that's a good segue actually into AI, the never-ending conversation that everybody is having. How are we using it? Why are we using it? Where are we using it? And is it going to work? But which portions of it do you use for AI? Is it building out the actual flow? Is it the creative? Is it the content? Tell us a little bit about that.
yeah, mostly it's the video content. We use a little bit of Chat GPT from an ad copy standpoint, but for the most part, I mean, it's good for writing like emails that I don't want to write, but it's
Sure.
not going to write the best ad copy that's going to convert in our space, in my opinion. It does do really well to build videos and unique concepts, and it's kind of like when CGI was really big in movie days, and nobody saw, like, you saw this building blow up that looks so real and so cool.
Yeah.
And now you can, we can build that on our own and make it look like that in an hour, right? And have an advertisement that can have the same type of that can evoke the same type of emotion that some of these CGI effects did back in in Hollywood 20 years ago.
Absolutely. Are there any plans to expand outside of the current industries that you're working with like Medicare and insurance?
Yeah, certainly. It was funny. I just had a chat with our team yesterday on horizontal growth. So, part of the this next quarter is going to be determining different strategies that we can grow horizontally. Our ideas has been vertical growth for the last several years. I think now we're at a level that, there's some left to go, but there isn't as much opportunity as I think there is to grow horizontally. So we just have to figure out what other categories can yield a similar budget, maybe not quite as substantial as Medicare, but somewhere in a reasonable range that we can that we can succeed in.
Yeah, potentially maybe like office medical offices, those anything in the service industry, I'm assuming could potentially work or
Home services is a big one right now in our space. A lot of it is really in the pay per call space. You want to have it's more for sales floors. So, like, what are operations that have sales teams in the neighborhood of 100 plus? And
yes.
those are companies that they have a hard time filling the amount of leads to that it takes to keep 100 or 200 or 1,000 people happy. So you need to outsource a lot of it to companies like us. Part of our job, I mean, it's kind of there's a lot of convoluted spaces in our industry, but I'm hoping the interest rates come down a little bit more, and mortgage is a refinance is a really big one, but rates are a little bit high still. That's probably my biggest hope. But yeah, home services is a big one. We haven't really dove too much down that path yet, but definitely looking at some outside affiliate marketing style categories to see how they can perform.
That can build for you. Yeah, no, that's great. Um, Tell us about some of the road bumps that you hit. I mean, this has all been like success driven, all these great things that are happening. Obviously, the test and learn from like building out your templates and so on. Was there ever a point in time when you were building Skylab Digital where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't think this is going to work, but you continued trucking through it? Or maybe it didn't even happen. Maybe it was just smooth sailing the whole way.
I wish it was smooth sailing the whole way. No, it rarely is. And no, there was a scenario a couple of years ago before my current team, and I had to terminate essentially everybody on our team. It was a very bad culture fit, and I thought it was going to ruin the whole organization. Really questioned my ability to lead, and my ability to build a strong culture and a strong company. I did some real soul searching, and really practiced some hiring questions. I practiced in front of a mirror. I practiced talking, figuring out what triggers, what triggers I have, how I can reply to certain responses. And it takes practice. And, it's not something
Hmm.
that really came natural to me at all. But I realized what not to do to a level that a lot of people probably haven't seen. And
Yeah.
and so that was a traumatic experience for me, but I it taught me so much, and it's been able to give me a new set of skills in hiring, which I think is um really made Skylab 2.0 what it is now. We wouldn't be what we are without my team that's in place. And I think a lot of it has been setting everybody up and setting the expectation up properly. I think that's probably the biggest thing is, I didn't set proper expectations. And if you don't set proper expectations with your team,
Yeah.
it's going to be a rough road.
Yeah, I like that you bring that up because, I think leadership is huge in that sense in terms of when you're building and knowing knowing thyself, right? And I think to your point, you've brought up hiring a couple of times throughout this conversation, and it really is an art to be able to look at what somebody can bring, to the table, and how well you can train that person through the process and how much they want it, right? I think the resume that comes in through the platform is one fresh look, but it's not everything that somebody can do. And to your point, you did talk also about culture fit being, something that was huge to make the company a success as well.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't ever open resumes.
Great.
When I put an ad out on LinkedIn, it'll be so many resumes that, I mean,
Yeah.
in the ad, it'll be email me your top accolades and answer these 3 questions and send it to an email. I won't be opening anything else, and I'll still get 20,
Yeah.
and then I'll pick the best, I'll interview the best 5 or something like that. And it's, this has been a newer strategy, but it's been so much more efficient because, I mean, when you're going through 300 resumes, you're like, it
Oh
starts
yeah.
looking like a different language pretty quick. And then, it's nobody gets, then I'm like, nobody's going to get an interview. I'm over this.
Yeah. You get tired before the process even starts.
Right?
Oh my gosh. Um, Well, this has been amazing and so detailed. I'm wishing that and hoping that you expand, to other industries just to be able to support the rest, of additional industries that could really, I think, benefit from this. So congratulations on, really building out, the 2.0 and not letting it kind of go sideways. But
Thank you.
before I let you go, what I do with everybody is, give us 3 key pieces of advice, because you are from the marketing side, what business owners should be thinking about as it relates to the different types of channels that are out there, and what should they be focusing on to know which direction they should be going into.
I would say number 1, build, focus on a team, whether it's W-2 personal or whether it's outsourced. Make sure you have the right people around you, because it's going to be very tough to try to do it by yourself. Number 2, test small, and don't get stuck on a campaign. So like if it's not working within a couple of days, like, you should build your baseline metrics, right? Every company is going to have a different baseline. It doesn't need to be profitable right, in the first week, but like build your initial campaign. If you spent $1,000 on this ad and you haven't gotten anything, or even less than that, if you spend $500 on an ad, you don't have anything to show for it, it's not worth figuring out.
Yeah.
And lastly, don't be afraid to just go to dive in, right? There's going to be bumps and bruises along the way. If you think it's going to be all roses, it's not. And it's tough being an entrepreneur. It's not
Yeah.
easy. Everybody sees at the end, oh, these guys are all doing really well. Well, most of them don't make it. Most
Yeah.
of them are, some of them are spending a ton of time and for not very much result, and they don't get to spend time with their family. So all these things that you're seeing on Instagram, a lot of it's not really true. Just try to be true to yourself, go in for it, and you'll succeed if you give it a good fair shot.
Yeah, and give the marketers that you hire a chance, and know that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And just as you were talking about, there's so many variables to get something and a campaign to succeed. So give that chance to have the test and learn to move through the process, because it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah. For your buyers, that's part of selling them on the right, on giving you the opportunity and the runway to fail a little bit, because
Yeah.
it is going to happen. And we set we set an expectation on a new campaign. Hey guys, I need at least a month, maybe 2 or 3 months to get this campaign figured out. And, if it works, it could make you guys millions and millions of dollars. So let's dial it in and, let's not cut it after a week or 50 phone calls or whatever it may be. So, that's a great point. You definitely need to set the proper expectation and get buyers that, get clients that really can understand how that works. So
Yeah. I love that. Well, this has been amazing, Chris. Super insightful, as I mentioned, and detailed. And thank you so much for the time and the insight. And we'll link your company below. We'll link your LinkedIn so everybody can get a chance to check it out, and as well check you out as well if they want to on LinkedIn.
thank you so much, Sasha. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
See ya.